And here we go.
Good evening. Here. Audio's working. I told you audio would be working.
Yeah, if audio's not working, you better tell us right now. We do got Brian on the board, so
there's going to be some issues tonight.
Say a prayer. Say a prayer. But it is Wednesday. It is April 8th. It is another time for Collectively Crimson. I'm Bill Kirk. That's Brian Hurley.
Well, and I think we've got a pretty good show. And I think it's very appropriate that we have an amateur on the board tonight because we got two professors.
We do
from the Murrow School of Communication.
That's the theme of tonight's program. Yeah. We're gonna highlight
patient guys teaching communications to the next.
Well, generation. We're gonna highlight one of the premier programs at Washington State University, and some of our most well-known alumni have come out of the Murrow School of Communications. We're 3 of the 4 people who will be appearing on tonight's show are Murrow School grads, and then there's me.
Yeah. And which school did you go to again?
I was in the College of Political Science. That has no name because no one gives 2 craps about that.
I still don't think it's real. I don't think it's a real college.
It's called a pre-law degree. That's what it was called. But no, we are excited. We are excited because we're going to talk about, and I know that you've been kind of looking forward to this because you and I off camera, we talk a lot about communications, journalism, the media industry as a whole, the rapid developments or devolution of the industry,
just changes of the industry and how we get information.
And then you connected back to it like, well, I wonder, think about how this is changing what they're teaching at the Murrow School because the world has shifted so significantly. And I'm like, I hadn't thought of that. That's why you got all the brains of this.
I was a broadcast management major. And I surely hope they don't have that as a major anymore.
Is that like
we're going to find out?
Typewriter repair man?
Exactly, yeah.
Now, listen, if you guys are not members of the Cougar Collective, the 1890 Club, as we always say around here.
What's up with that?
What is up with that? All right. Linked up down below. Get into the game right now with everyone here at the Cougar Collective. Literally every penny of every dollar you give will go directly back to the student athletes. We're using it not only to bring student athletes onto campus, but more importantly, to maintain the fantastic student athletes that we have on campus so that they can have the full WSU experience because it's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
It is.
It's a great thing. And we've had it's been a big news week for college football and for,
we're going to talk later during, I know we got a guest waiting, but we're going to talk later because there was an executive order out of the White House.
Yep.
And we'll talk about what, if anything, that really means.
This is why I like having lawyer friends. You gave me a little Schoolhouse Rock lesson.
Well, you know what we're also going to do? We're going to talk about a potentially political topic without being political about it. Because here at Collectively Crimson, we don't focus on what makes us different. We focus on what we have in common, that is that we're Cougs.
We're not red or blue.
We're not. We're crimson and gray, baby. That's right.
So I think we should bring our first guest on.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm just going to preface this with we've had some audio issues with StreamYard lately. And Brandon, who's our go-to guy.
We're blaming StreamYard. Is that what we're doing?
Oh, it's 100% the software's fault.
Okay.
Not mine.
All right.
And then Brandon, who's normally on the board, he's got a championship hockey game
he's playing
tonight.
hockey tonight. Dedicated to the cause.
Exactly. So here we go. All right. Can I get a drum roll? All right. And we're bringing to the stage Tony Thompson.
Did it work?
I can hear him. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's laughing at us hysterically. That's why. This is because he's sitting there going, this is a freaking clown show, man.
Now he's messing with us, too. Yeah, that's funny, man. That's really funny. So how are you, man? Good to see you.
It's great to see you guys. Goodness gracious. I've been smiling this whole time. I'm like, oh, these two.
Yeah, well, we have fun. Happy. We have fun doing this, and we're gonna have fun with you tonight too. We need appreciate you being here, man.
And if your Cable 8 interns need some, opportunities, we're always looking for free labor around here. So let us know.
And by the way, Bill, you said 3 out of the 4 people are Murrow grads. I'm not gonna lay claim to that. I was a general.
Okay.
I was let's just say my major was I won't be great at one thing. I will be good at a lot
studies
of things.
guy. You're generally a well-rounded person, kind of that balanced man type academics.
Yes.
That's excellent.
Fraternity plug there.
No, I don't plug my fraternity anymore, but that's neither for here nor there on this podcast.
Did you recently move to the Murrow School, or is this okay? Because you were at Carson College for a while, right?
Yes, I was in the Carson College. So I came back to Pullman in 2015. I was in the Carson College of Business and found my way into a teaching spot there. And then I believe it was 23. I moved into the Murrow College. I knew that there was professor job opening up, and it was right along the lines of my interests. Obviously, you and I, Brian, have the same interests as far as video production. And I'd been doing video production since 2015 or 2017 as well, and became kind of a passion of mine. And it's like, okay, I'm going to teach something.
Let's give a plug to your production company here. Tell me a little bit about you and what you and Josue, right?
Yes. So Dryland Media, since 2017, been based in Pullman, Washington. We do creative video content for clients. We've done a lot of work with WSU Athletics, done some stuff for other friends' companies, and I think it's something that we're really passionate about is finding people where they are from a company standpoint. How do they want to get their word out there? And if video is what they want to do, finding a way to get it done for them and doing it in a fun and engaging way.
And never underestimate a couple dudes just cracking wise sitting around in Pullman, because you guys come up with some fun stuff. It was Christian Hilborn. You guys did the slow-mo Coug fan one, or did you see the Coug fan one?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
The slow-mo cannonball.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
That stemmed. Okay, I'm sorry if we're diverting, but that stemmed.
No, we have no game plan here.
Okay,
This is a complete, shift and drift, and we just eventually back it into the harbor somewhere about an hour down the road, and that's how it works out around here.
So then you guys will appreciate this, because this was totally off the cuff. Greg Witter approached me at the QB Classic, the Cougs' first QB Classic, and just kind of in passing, he was like, "Hey, when are you guys going to make a big splashy ad for me?" And I was like, "Huh, splash."
Yeah, especially Greg Witter, such a splashy dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and I said, what if literally we came up with a splashy ad? He's like, "What do you mean?" So, well, I got Christian Hilborn in a class. He's told me numerous times that he'd like to do a video or something. It's like, what if we found a pool and had him just do a cannonball into the pool and call that your big splashy ad? And Greg right then and there was like, "All right, let's do it." I was like,
that sounds about right. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Josue is definitely the thinker of the two of us. And he was looking at me, and I could tell it was like, he was kind of like, "All right, fine, I guess we're doing this," but also like, "Oh, actually that seems like it would be fun." So we used a buddy of his pool here in Pullman, had Christian show up. He jumped into the pool like 15 times. And
you got to get several takes, obviously.
Yes, yeah. I know, right? Terrible job for Christian that day, just jumping into a pool.
Yeah. For 10 whole takes.
Yeah,
that's
yes. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What are you teaching at Murrow right now? What's your class schedule? What are you instructing?
So I have 12 credits per semester. So sometimes it's a balance of online and in person. But this semester I have so online I have CommStrat 310 and CommStrat 310 in person, and then I have Comm 210 online, and then Comm 210 in person. So CommStrat 310
what are the topics of those? Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah. So Comm 210 it could be anybody it doesn't need to be a Murrow student. It's anybody who wants to learn about creative content. So that's stemming from graphic design, photography, all of the things, and just getting your foot in the door as far as creatively and seeing that kind of take off. And then CommStrat 310 is more of just online marketing, how to build a website. The students, they create a foundation, a fake foundation, and drive traffic to that website using social media channels and emails and all that stuff, and just kind of teaching them what it looks like to run a website.
Nice.
That's what Comm 310 wasn't that way for you, was it?
No, I don't remember I think I learned how to make a very basic website on a Adobe PageMaker or something like that. Yeah. I'm dating myself dramatically right now. I remember I did my whole it wasn't even a thesis, but I did a whole paper on this. Have you heard of this viral marketing thing?
Well, listen, when I was there was no such thing as the internet. So Comm 310 probably would have been I don't know, using a telegraph or something like that. So
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the tracks like now? Because the tracks were obviously it was advertising and PR and broadcast when I was there. So what does that look like? Or what are students?
Yeah, I mean, what are the jobs right now, and how has the Murrow School adjusted to where the jobs are for these kids coming out of college?
Yeah. So it's still, Brian, it's still the same, a lot of the same tracks. But we're actually also, we're adding a sports media minor coming up this fall. So we're going to be doing, and I know I'm going to be teaching a sports video class for that.
Cool.
And Bill, to answer your question, I don't know. As far as where the jobs are, I know that there's a lot of creative content related work out there. It's just kind of seeking it out for students. We have Wendy Wagner in our career advising. She's incredible, and so she's kind of in charge of that. But as far as where the jobs are, my main focus is, I try to, if somebody is asking me about, okay, hey, how do I get my foot in the door? My main focus, as we know, it's what you know. It's obviously what you know, but it's who you know. Yeah. So I try to increase my network and shamelessly network on behalf of the students. But it's rough. Let's just call it what it is.
Well, because the industry's shifted so much.
Well, yeah. It's, when I started in broadcast, I was on the sales side, but you talk to these guys. Oh, I've been a producer for 20 years. I've been a camera operator for 30 years. Those specialty jobs don't exist, or if they do, they're not that long term any longer, right? And so you almost need like a chutzpah and hustle 101 or something like that, of like how to translate your skill set into what's making money this year, and then connecting it with the right brands who can see a return on investment with your skill set. Because that's what the industry is like now. It's like, I don't care if it's if you're a social media producer or whatever, your job will look completely different 5 years from now than it does now. And when I tell people when they're coming into the industry, is just like, the number one thing you got to teach yourself is obviously, like, okay, you got to teach how to tell a story, that kind of stuff, but also just how to connect with people and figure out how you can help them make money with your skill set. And so it's fun. It's a fun job. It's a fun career. It's not for the faint of heart.
I also want to interject, because I said it's rough out there. I think it's rough out there in that I think a lot of people just need to get really creative with what they want to do. So it was interesting. I'm glad that you guys are having this kind of Murrow focus. Obviously, we had Murrow Symposium this week.
Greg Witter also got his award this week.
Because of his big splashy ad.
Big splashy ad. There. Let's put him over the top.
When Tom Brokaw won it, or he didn't have a big guy jumping into a pool with a cannonball.
No, he didn't need it either. He was Tom Brokaw.
I think that just speaks to the nature of media today too, though.
Yeah.
No, what were you saying? Sorry.
So Bill Wixie, he spoke today, and he was talking about how incredible it is. He's done a lot of great things in the Seattle media market and been in the news there for a long time. But he's like, my son works with me, and he is I think he said he's a social media producer. Like, that didn't exist. Yeah. And so it can be a little bit daunting as far as the trying to apply for jobs. It's just they're new jobs. And what I think is really fun about what we do is that we try to get people who are well versed in all these different areas, because that builds up your resume. And that is and it doesn't matter. Okay, if you need a photographer, we have somebody like this. A student could be good at photography and videography, maybe social media management, maybe all of the above, and then all of a sudden they become invaluable, right? Right. And trying to market them in such a way that they have all these different sets of skills. It's not just like, okay, I want to be a reporter, that's it. Okay, I want to be an ad person, that's it. There's a lot of students who are doing a lot of different things that they cast a wide net, and it could be beneficial for them in the long run when they leave.
That's interesting.
Well, I think I love, so it's funny because I think in anything, whenever there's change in an industry, people can get really doom and gloom, especially the veterans, who, and I have to say that the folks who entered the industry about 10 years before me, maybe 20 years before me, were a little spoiled in that they kind of had that golden age of job security, right? Because you got to remember, like, when Murrow started, there was no television, you know what I mean? Like, he was a radio guy, and then television came. He had to figure out how to adapt to television, how to tell a story on television, And so, like, we're just getting new tools. But ultimately, the media.
Yeah, but you know what else is with social media? You're getting new players in the industry too, because with radio and television, there was always that budget that only so many people could do it, right?
There was a barrier to entry.
There was a barrier to entry, right? Yeah. Whereas in social media, which is now supplanted in many ways in some form journalism and things like that.
Yeah,
it's the entry levels pretty affordable for anybody.
Okay, yes, but I'd counter that for just a second, right? Like you're somebody who was able to get a camera, learn how to do it, and get millions of impressions with your YouTube channel, right? But I wouldn't say you had no barrier to entry. Your barrier to entry was your skill set, your knowledge of the law, and your experience.
Okay. Yeah.
So you actually have content that people care about. So like you don't need the most expensive cinema camera, but you bring value to it because the content you're bringing is there.
That's fair.
And I would also just say, like, sure, anybody can plug in and watch, but we got 40 people watching us right now. That ain't exactly
shouldn't have even said that.
But that ain't exactly like broadcast news.
What's up with that?
Yeah. But what I mean is like it's such a crowded marketplace that almost acts like its own barrier to entry too. So it's
crowded marketplace. It is indeed.
Yeah. And so as long as if you're good at your skill set, you can always rise above.
Tony, tell us about the difference because you were teaching in the Carson school. Now you're over at Murrow.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Are you trying to get me Are you trying to get me
to I'm not trying to get you to rip on the
kind to your current employer.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to talk about how wonderful it is to be at the Murrow School. Go ahead.
No, it is. And
I bet it is.
There is a camaraderie here that it's definitely unlike any place I've been around. And there's obviously, those cliches that people are in silos, in higher ed. That's not the way here. And that's not the way it is here. I can bounce ideas off of a broadcast professor. I've obviously, I know you guys are interviewing Matt Loveless, and, he and I have worked together on some things. And I also I value his opinion, but it's not something where one of those things where it's like, okay, if I'm in some trouble, I don't know what to do for a certain class, or I'm trying to develop something for a new class. It's like, all right, you're on your own. That's not the case here. Everybody is willing to help each other out, and it's kind of like it doesn't matter what role they are.
That's cool.
There's a lot of people who chip in, and the team atmosphere is palpable here.
Media people are fun. They're just fun to hang out with,
Yes.
And they're, so that's really cool to hear. What are you most excited about? Like, are you adding new things to I know this is your first year, but are you adding new things to the curriculum? And if so, like, what are some of the things you've kind of had to shoehorn in there to kind of keep up with what the students are interested in and wanting to learn about?
I think what I'm most excited about is so one of the things that, doing that Comstrat 310 class, let me preface this with saying, I do not approach a class like a sage on the stage. I do not.
I would.
I wouldn't.
That's why you're not teaching over at Murrow.
Shut up, take notes.
That's why you're not over at Murrow teaching. So
because for me to think that I know all about what brings traffic especially from that generation, that's not true. And there are times like that Comstrat 310 class, driving traffic, what are the different channels they use? And so we have to adapt to that. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't have a TikTok account, and a lot of my students, I kind of joke around them. I'm like, well, show me some of the stuff that you like. And I think adapting to that is a lot of fun. It could be kind of challenging because every semester, building a website, you use Squarespace or something like that. They change one thing to the next, for the next class. So you kind of update your stuff as much as you can. But I think what I'm most excited about, I think, coming into this fall is that sports media.
That's gonna be awesome. I have a feeling that Junior may end up in that program real soon too.
I think.
William, he wants to be a Murrow kid.
Well, I think it's cool. Like when I was in school there, you could get involved with like Pac-12 network productions, and you could like hold a microphone during a game. But now you go down to the sidelines, and there are so many media kids that are just doing different things and ways of getting the message out there. just practical experience on campus, especially in the athletic department, is miles ahead of when I was there. It's really cool to see. And they do great work too. So
they do great work. And it's a lot of Murrow kids, actually, I keep saying kids, a lot of Murrow students doing that work. And that's fun to see that.
Want to shift gears on them real quick?
I think.
Okay. Well, first of all, there's a piece of trivia that a lot of you might not know this, but Tony is actually the last player at Washington State University to wear number 14.
I heard about this. I heard it was really easy for him to do too, right?
Yeah, sure. It was just given to him. Yeah. Tony, I got one question, comes in two parts.
Hold on. Okay, let's go for it.
Here it is. You're going to love this question. How old were you when you realized your dad was kind of a big deal at WSU? And then how old were you when you realized he wasn't as big of a deal as he thought he was?
Dude.
Okay, I actually have an answer. I have an answer to both.
You need me to repeat that question. I want to make sure that you understood it.
No, I have an answer to both of those. So
I knew you would.
I would say it was probably, we started coming, what I remember is like 5 years old when I came here, and we would go through the field house and everybody stopping him, just like, oh, and I didn't really register. It didn't really register me. I just thought it was just normal, right? And then as those years went by, you're just like, every time we go to something and we're walking through, and it takes us forever to get from point A to point B.
Well, because he's also not a man who has fast conversations either.
No, and he'll stop and say hi to everybody.
Exactly.
Especially, sorry, Pop, if you're watching, especially if there's free food involved. Let's be real. And then, so to answer the second part of your question, my dad told me a couple years ago, maybe it was even, a couple years ago, a student came up to him and said, "You're Tony's dad, right?"
Oh,
yes. And I was like, yes. You know what, Pop? All those years of me saying you're Jack's kid, that's what you get. There we go.
I like that. Yeah. Tony's dad.
So, sometimes I'll shag down to Pullman with your dad from Spokane when I'm coming down from there. And
he's a weird choice of words, my man.
We'll drive down together. And he told me a story about you getting to wear number 14, because it wasn't just given to you, was it?
No, it was not.
No. Why don't you tell us about that?
So I'm trying to remember. So I changed my number so many times while I was here. 46 and 43 and 43 for Troy Polamalu because I loved him. And then it was one of those things where from my junior to senior year, I was thinking, okay, I might get some more playing time, and I wore number 14 my senior year of high school, and that was a really special year for us. We got second in state.
Yeah, you guys had a good team out there that year.
We did. Yeah. We did. And so it was one of those. I think it wasn't easy, but it also wasn't that difficult because all I needed was his blessing, really. And I think I just like, Pop, coming up in my senior year, I came here as a walk-on, earned a scholarship, so I felt like
you were getting legit playing time too. I mean, you were out there playing.
Yeah. If you would consider special teams playing a lot, yes.
You were on the field,
but I was on the field, and so I think we just had a conversation. And I'll be honest with you, I would try to say this without getting emotional, but it was just like, yeah, absolutely. Like it wasn't. I was kind of hesitant to ask him, and it was just like, of course. And then the equipment guys were like, all right, let's roll. Let's awesome. Bring back the number 14. Cool. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So
is there like a ceremony they have to do to like
unretire?
Yeah, and then
he knighted me. He knighted me.
He knighted you.
He just like sat me down
from the stone and then knighted you and put Excalibur back. That's pretty dope. I will tell you a funny story. No, when I was Jack and I go way, way, way back. I was like 5 or 6 years old when I met Jack for the first time. And then when Jack was playing at Wazoo, he played number 14. So you start as Little League.
Yeah.
Hey, Billy, what number do you want? 14. I want 14, right? and you have a good year, your first year in Little League, well, you got to wear the same number. And I wore number 14 all the way up through American Legion baseball. I would fight for number 14. That was my number. But the only reason it was my number is because way back when I was like first grade, I was like, I want to be number 14. There it is.
See, it's a good thing you didn't make the football team.
And then he went to the NFL and had to wear number 12 because Ken Anderson had 14.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And Bill, I don't know if you've talked about this on the show, but Bill's dad was very instrumental in my dad actually ever being interested in WSU. He told my dad when he was, I don't know, sophomore in high school, maybe even younger than that.
It was junior high. It was junior high. Yeah.
He said, I know you're a Husky now. Oh, you tell.
Gonna be.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna be. He ain't gonna be, kid. Yeah, that's true. No, Jack and my dad had an amazing relationship. Jack spoke at my dad's funeral.
Oh, cool.
Was actually the only non-immediate family member to speak. So that goes to show you the relationship that my dad had with Jack.
That's so
they were,
cool.
yeah, they very good mutual admiration for each other.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. But I'll tell you a story too, since we're getting all sappy here.
Let's do it.
No. What drew my dad's attention to Jack was his ability on the football field. But what my dad was most proud of was the husband and father that Jack became as a man. And that's really what my dad always bragged about. It wasn't about what Jack had done on the field. It was about the human being that Jack had become. And he was always most proud. And he was proud, Jack being a good dad like he is and marrying Molly and all that. And so, yeah, that's the thing my dad was most proud about.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Can we go back to making fun of him again? Can we do that?
I think so. Is there anything we can't leave on this note? Give me something, Tony.
Here's one. Occasionally the Cougs will have a bad game, as we know. It happens once in a while, not often. But what is your dad like after we just throw out a freaking clunker? Like that Coach Leach game down in Cal where Luke just crapped all over himself and things like that. What's your dad like after something like that?
I'll be honest with you. He is probably better than I am.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My dad, he's just quiet. He's really quiet after those games.
How about a loss to the Huskies? How's he after that? Do you have to take all the sharp objects out of the house and things like that? Or?
Yeah, no. I don't know. Yeah, I honestly, he is after a loss. He is. I commend him. He's pretty solid. It's me. I get pissed.
I talked to him after Texas State, or no? Yeah, not Texas State.
North Texas.
Oh my God. I talked to my phone rang. It was him. I was like, I don't know if I can take this call. and I'll tell you, and after when Dickert left, when John left, like any of those moments of just like, oh, it's the end. I got to talk to Jack because he'll just start.
He's got perspective.
He's got perspective. And
That's
I appreciate it. So
that's true.
But
all right, how many more weeks before you get them to finals now?
Gosh, we have what, 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Don't
left.
ask me that. I'm not good. I'm in comm, man. I'm not a math guy. Don't ask me how many weeks.
That's why I went to law school too. I was good at math. I would have been an engineer or some cool job like that.
And then, are you teaching any summer classes?
No, I'm not. I'm just focused on dryland stuff over the summer. So if anybody needs any big splashy ads, let me know.
Hey, I got a question because I really want. How awesome is it to raise a family in Pullman, Washington?
That's a great question.
It's the best, man. A lot of my friends, because I have so many friends and family, obviously in Seattle, they'll ask me, how do you live in Pullman? And my answer is always, I got too much stuff going on in my head to deal with traffic anyway. So the ability to, no joke, this morning, I'm trying to hustle my kids out of the door because I'm hosting a panel for the symposium. And it always surprises me how little time it takes. Like I'll be in a rush and then I get him to the childcare. I get up to the symposium and I realize, oh, dang, like I thought I'd be here at, 8:45 and it's 8:15, that is, it's beautiful. And then also there is the nostalgia of it and being able to now take my kids to things every weekend that I could only experience, maybe once a month as a kid. And granted, obviously the landscape of college athletics is different, but I'm still walking into now Giesa Field, but old Martin Stadium, and going to these places that I remember as a kid. And I'm not even kidding you guys. I know you talk about going up Davis Way and you come into town. It's like you kind of let your shoulders down. Living in Pullman, that doesn't go away. It's every single time I come back home, part of me just gets the goosebumps. I'm just like, this is home for me. So I love it, man.
That's awesome.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, I'm jealous. These kids have way cooler professors than I had. And I'm sure you are just making their college experience that much more awesome. So
thank you.
It's good to know somebody's holding down the fort. And also, you know, I can see the Tony in a lot of the new media people coming into the market, just whatever, well, let's just try this, you know. I just say it, you know. So hey, love the work you do both in the classroom and with Dryland. Keep up the good fight, my man.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
I love it when you hear people who live in Pullman still get like,
I'm so envious,
still get goosebumps about, because I think for people who haven't been back for a while, they hear the news, they watch it, and they go, college football's changed or college sports. And it has.
Yeah. But Pullman's still Pullman.
Magic is still there.
Pullman's still Pullman.
Yes. Yes.
That's the thing. Pullman is still Pullman. Washington State University is still Washington State University.
You can still go down to the Snake River and see linemen fishing for tiny little.
You can do it all. It's everything that makes that place special. And I get that Pullman's not right for everybody, but if it's right for you, it's actually perfect for you.
Yes. And we talk about that all the time. That's why I'm excited for this upcoming Cougs First show, because even if you've never been to one, if you're a Coug, you immediately share that camaraderie with whoever.
That's right. You talking about the Cougs First show we're doing in Seattle?
I'm talking about this Cougs First show we're doing in Seattle.
We are doing the Cougs First show in Seattle. You know who I got to talk to today?
Who?
I got to talk to Miss Kelsey Knudsen.
Did she change the color of her light yet?
We did not talk about lighting.
Okay.
But yeah, we will. Kelsey, if you're watching,
change the color of your light.
Yeah, no purple lighting next time. But she's going to be hunting down, and we're going to have about 3 businesses kind of do some business spotlights during the Cougs First show, so they'll be able to come on and kind of plug their business and also talk about the virtues of Cougs First. Because if you're running a business, own a business, involved in business, and you're not part of Cougs First business, what's up with that? So I mean, seriously, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a good time.
Right on.
Have you figured out the audio video yet?
God, no. I'm gonna figure it out that morning, man. This is a new media landscape.
This is the new media landscape.
You get to be a producer, a director, talent, everything.
I learned a lot during that, because listening to you two guys kind of geek out together, and I mean that in a good way. The flexibility, the versatility that a communications graduate needs to have today,
yes,
versus when you came out or when people came out when I was going to school, there's quite different now, isn't it? You got to be much more well-rounded.
I could go on for hours.
Yeah, no, it's actually, I mean, even though I'm not a media guy, I mean,
when I started,
it's fascinating.
My goal was to, I'm going to be in a sale. I did an unpaid internship at Cairo Television because I was one of.
Was Lou Guzzo there back in the day?
No.
Is he already gone?
Yeah. But, and then I was like, I made $28,000 a year as an assistant, and that was big money. Like, I got a real job, and I can go to Nordstrom's Rack and get a couple shirts. And then I got into a sales role, and my whole job was just calling everybody in the yellow pages. Like, you want to advertise on television?
Calling?
No. You want to advertise on television? No. You want to? So like, that was my job. And then, that was the career, right? It was just like, get in, get a good list, you're good to go. And then within 2 years of me getting that job, it was like, now you got to learn how to sell digital. Now you got to learn how that works. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden it's just, so you start looking down and it's just the fragmentation of just audiences has also been the fragmentation of where the money goes as well.
Sure.
And so like it used to be like 1 or 2 or 5 different big companies in every market splitting the pot of $200 million.
Well, and there was also a limited number of mediums.
Exactly.
Right. Whereas now you got all these companies plus all these different mediums out there.
And that's when I decided to go off on my own, is when I looked at it, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to lay people off every year, or I can do this exact same thing with Brandon. And
you had to give yourself the flexibility in order to operate within a flexible industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it took a leap of faith. It took, but like, I also think that anybody who's embarking on a career in media just has to be okay with being uncomfortable.
All right, Junior, you listening?
Yeah. And And, I think, I'm excited actually to bring our next guest on because I want to ask a couple questions. He's got a journalism background, and I want to talk to him a little bit about ethics and what we're teaching.
Well, and the evolution of journalism.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's evolved significantly as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Want to get him on?
Let's get him on here. Mr. Matt Loveless, the voice of Inside the Den. How are you, sir?
Is that how I'm known in the house, huh?
In the Hurley household, yes. Yes.
Hi, gentlemen. I just heard you talk to Tony. I have some correction. I have some notes for him, but we'll worry about that later.
He's newer to the school. Take it easy on him. Don't embarrass him in the staff meeting.
He's actually about 50 feet away from me through that.
Oh, is he? Okay.
He's gonna pound on that
seriously
thing
over there?
Yeah.
So if I start talking smack about Tony, he's gonna hear all of it now.
I'll let him in. I'll give him a second spot if we need to.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So listen, real quick, why don't you tell everyone what you're doing over at the Murrow? We're focusing on the Murrow School of Communications. We really appreciate you being here. By the way, Mr. Loveless is a member of the Cougar Collective Board of Directors too, and tirelessly gives hundreds and hundreds of hours to our efforts. So thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Yet to tell us no, which is usually we get people to know pretty quick.
Yeah, and if you've taken a look at all of our events that we have, our Friday little mixers, which were a fantastic success this past year. Who was the host of that?
Mr. Matt Loveless.
It was Mr. Matt Loveless. Exactly.
I don't know. No was an option. I can say no to Jack.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, anyways, all right. So, what are you doing? What are you teaching right now over at Murrow?
The quick bio, I guess. I'm a journalism professor, so broadcast journalism. Anybody listening to this would probably say the same thing they say in person. It's the voice. Yeah, I can tell. I can't turn this off. This is, hey, hun, what do you want to get for dinner? So I teach the senior year essentially of those who want to be broadcast journalists, whether that's TV news reporter, anchor, weathercaster, sports. Also do, podcasting courses now, which is, I'm learning from you guys as I teach it as well. But it's really fun.
This probably is not a good
don't have
lesson.
them watch this one.
I think that you should use this when you're teaching your students as here's what not to do. Okay. Right. But, that's fine.
Hey, authenticity is part of it. So, you guys are shooting the breeze. I'm down for that. But it's a sweet spot. I love doing it because I work with a lot of students who are about to graduate. In fact, I do know how many weeks are left in the semester.
How many?
3 after this week to teach, and then we have finals week, and then we're off to graduation. But most of my students are about to graduate. And so I teach them as many basics as I can by the time they get through here about television production and what it's like to sit on a news desk and hone that voice, hone those storytelling skills. But right now, I'm helping them negotiate employment contracts and helping them look for jobs and how to decline an offer via email. Like all of those sort of things are happening right now with a number of my students. I love that part of it because I come from the industry, and so it's I like it a lot. It's
got to be a little exciting to see them taking that next step and seeing that degree already get put to use right away and saying, all right, good.
Yeah, many of them a month and a half from now are going to be some local news reporter in some market standing in front of a crime scene tape and, learning on the fly. It's a high pressure job for a lot of people. Awesome. We just talked about the symposium, and it was just like filled my bucket this week when Ana Cabrera was here, because Ana was like a Cable 8 mate of mine. And so seeing her honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award, sitting on a news desk with her, doing a podcast was a little bit surreal. And so it's just funny how full circle that comes. And obviously people should know I am a Coug. Those who don't know me, I went here. I grew up. In fact, I've been a Coug since the 60s, but I was born in the 80s. So happy to explain.
There you go.
Okay, Matt, for folks who don't have your background, walk them through what the traditional career path was when you graduated into broadcast news.
Yeah, well, even going back a little further, I think it was 13, 14 years old, and I had a friend remind me, I told them, I'm going to be a news anchor. And so I knew I wanted to go to WSU. I knew they had the communication program. Too.
Yeah.
Right. But my parents had met here at WSU 20 years earlier. And, wait, here comes the note. Hold on. I don't know if I can, is this a family friendly show?
Sure. No. Don't worry about it.
No. Good job, Tony.
Let's not drop any F-bombs, but beyond that, we're pretty cool.
It's his job.
Oh, yeah, I can't read it then. No, so I knew I wanted to be a news anchor. I came here, I got the degree. So the path is similar. We talk about climbing a ladder. So I wanted to get into sports. I was the next Dan Patrick, Kenny Mayne, I thought. I didn't think I was that, but that's what I wanted. That was my ultimate goal. Getting a sports job then, real hard to do. And so I took a news job. I was a general assignment reporter. I graduated on a Saturday and started working on a Monday. That was maybe my only life.
What market?
Lewiston, Idaho.
K-Lou.
So the benefit there is I covered Cougar football Saturdays for the first few years of my reporting career. I got to be there. I was right on the hinge point. I graduated during the Tony Bennett era, but I got to be around for the Sweet 16.
That's pretty cool.
And so all of that was great. I mean, and I showed up in a Rose Bowl year. So it was kind of this like sweet spot in Cougar sports that really got me involved in it. But I was in Lewiston for a few years before I got a sports job in Boise. And so I actually covered Kirby Moore's first couple of years as a wide receiver at Boise State. And then I got a job out in the Midwest and covered Big Ten. I was a University of Illinois market. And so we covered the Illini football, basketball, baseball, everything else. I was excited for their Final Four appearance this year because I knew a lot of people and a lot of friends who were wrapped up in that. But after about 14 years, all told, of doing all that stuff, WSU came calling back, said they needed somebody to teach the senior year that I took. And so that was my path.
That's so cool. Now, what's the difference do you see for your students that are coming out now, or is it very similar?
It's similar. The path is similar. It's a little, this is going to sound weird. It's easier to get a job at a bigger market now than it used to be. We're dealing in our industry with a lot of burnout. I was making $9 an hour with a 4-year degree in a very specialized position coming out of school. And I'm not talking 1971. I'm talking 2007. It was not that long ago where wages were just not good. And so I think there were a lot of people from my generation and those who followed who sort of burned out. So that said, I can reference Anna Cabrera getting a job at KHQ in the mid 2000s was a massive deal. You didn't start in Spokane. That was ridiculous. Anymore, half a dozen a year of our students will start in Spokane television stations. And so the industry's changed a little bit. Students are standing up for themselves in ways we did not in terms of like work-life balance.
We let ourselves get pushed around quite a bit. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so pay's going up for them a little bit. So the conditions are a little bit better. But also, I can sit here and shake my fist at a cloud all day because I do have to teach things that I felt like I did not have to be taught. And some of that has to do just with interpersonal communication, calling an authority figure to ask them a question, including the media contact for the police department whose job it is to receive those calls. And so there's little things like that maybe feel a little bit different when it comes to a generation gap, but the path is the same. The ones who try really hard are getting good jobs. And I've been here 7 years. And so I'm starting to see students who are signing their second and third contracts. Cool. And that's the really cool part. In my phone, 2 or 3 times a week, I hear from an alum who I taught, who's asking me for some advice or to look at a resume and give some critiques or make a connection. And I anticipated it being rewarding in that way, sort of in the abstract, but it's not abstract anymore. It's the best part of the job is to teach all of these people who become friends. And I just spent a week reconnecting with many of them, which was really fulfilling.
That's really cool.
Matt, let me ask you this. We had Tony on earlier and we were talking about just the big seismic shifts that's just occurred in the communications industry, the media industry in general. What has been, if any, big shifts that you've seen in journalism since the time you were a student there and versus what the kids are going through now?
Social media is a big one. I mean, you just want to talk about the things they have to do every day on the job. I signed up for my Twitter account, which if you follow me, I use a lot. I signed up for that thing in my first job's newsroom. I mean, it was 2009. So I avoided everything but MySpace, essentially, about pre-college.
He's still very active.
He's real active on MySpace, actually.
You guys haven't hit my top 8
trying to get on
yet.
Top 5.
Google,
you'll get there. Jack's on there. Was he in front of a chalkboard or whiteboard or something? Anyway, so that's changed quite a bit. The requirement of using social media. But I'll tell you what, I sort of came up through that. You know, I'm one of those generations, we call ourselves Zennials, where we grew up in an analog childhood that had no internet, no cell phones, but are fluent in all of that stuff. And so same thing happened with social media throughout my career. Anymore, vertical videos become a big deal. We just launched a vertical newscast that our students are doing every single day. And so it's convenient, short form, handheld news content that is professional to journalistic standards, but also similar to one of the things Tony was talking about. I mostly have them do it and go, would you watch this? Like, I don't have a whole lot to teach. It's all very experimental. So I suppose part of my job is creating what's the buzzword? Intrapreneurs, people who can go to these businesses and have good ideas that take the industry into the future. I have to be flexible in that. When I came here, the syllabus did not have any lessons on social media. That was 2019. And so we were way behind. And so we're playing catch up. I admit to them all the time, like, look, I don't know where anything's going. You know what you want to watch now. And in a few years, you're going to be in that demo that everybody's going to be trying to target. So why don't you just decide what news looks like? And they're understanding that better and better. And I think they're having fun doing it.
I think you're a good mix of personality to teach that too. You know, one thing I think I've told this to you before, but a lot of times, you know, traditional news guys, especially ones with such great voices like yours, tend to be a little constrained. And you have that gift of being able to be that, like, I'm the on-air professional, but I also have a very nice personality, and I'd actually want to sit down and talk to me, you know. And you don't, you know, so it's I think you're kind of the perfect mix of that, of like, you know, here's the things you need to stick to, the journalistic integrity and some of the standards, and being prepared and knowing what you're talking about, knowing how to say people's names and things like that. But you can also throw the rule book out a little bit, because if nobody watches it, it doesn't really matter.
Well, let me ask both of you communication guys this question. All right. This is a legit question. Is, as the outside consumer of the product, not really understanding the industry, and I think social media has contributed to a lot of this, it appears that there is a bigger race to be first than it appears to be right in some things. And it's what we call, in my little social media world, clickbaiting and things like that. Is that a problem? And does that affect, in your opinion, not suggesting it does, in your opinion, does that affect the concept of journalistic integrity?
I have an opinion, but I'll let Matt go first on that one.
Yeah, geez, you got a couple hours.
Loaded question, but
it's a great question. And, you know, my short answer, and I'll give a short one and a long one, is that if you rush to be first without caring to be right, then you're not a trained journalist. And we just had a conversation about this. In fact, what I'd want people, and this is why I could talk for hours, there's a media literacy problem across our country right now. And part of that is the inability to distinguish between the people who are giving you information, who are trained to do so with certain standards, like do no harm. Have you ever heard that before? Because that is a pillar of journalism. And crossing that, and I know, Bill, you might want to talk some ethical stuff as well, mixing that with the public's right to know. And you know, there are Coug fans. Let me spin this Cougie a little bit. Emmanuel Ugbo had a situation this basketball season. Murrow News 8, my students, broke the story about why he was suspended. I was very proud of them. Now, releasing that information is like looking at an iceberg. And you know the analogy, because we gave the public about 4% of what we read. There is a lot in there. Now, by the way, the journalist in us is just the person who went and got the documents that anybody watching this right now can go get themselves.
Available via public record request. Yes, they are.
You just walk down to the courthouse and print it. That's what we did. No, we didn't talk about a whole lot else, because we decided that didn't get up to the do no harm standard, because it wasn't important. It wasn't important for the public to know. So that's a long way of saying we did rush to be first. We were excited to have the information that a lot of people were curious about, But until we released it, we made sure to comb through every single document, kind of circle the things we thought was important, cross out the things that we did not need to release, and then we gave the information. And we gave a lot of information. There was just a whole lot more out there. So, this is me. I'm in front of Ed Murrow books, and, he's listening right now. We're not going to release anything that's incorrect. And I don't think anybody who would consider themselves a journalist would do that either. And so being able to delineate between those people is a really important thing. And I'm sorry, but the responsibility is on you, the consumer, in part, to be able to parse who's doing it the right way and who isn't.
Agreed.
I think that's a great answer. And I think the only thing, I was having coffee with Jim Rose, who was the former general manager at King Television a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. And I always love these conversations with him because he's got this really cool perspective. And we were having the exact same conversation, and I think I might have told you this on the podcast already, but he said, Brian, if it's said with a smirk, it's not news. And that really kind of struck with me a little bit, where it's like,
you said that to me last week. Actually,
yeah,
you use that line. Yeah.
So it's like, I've been repeating it left and right because it means a lot to me when you think about it. And I don't think, like, where's the line of journalism and entertainment? I think I think
it's a very blurred line.
Very blurred, but I think it's always been a blurred line, right?
Yeah.
So like when I started at a television station, it was, if it bleeds, it leads, right? And then along the way, it turned into social media, it turned into clickbait or, rage bait or whatever.
Yeah.
Just get people to click, get people to engage, and you're generating a ton of impressions. But like any of those like cheats or hacks or whatever that's going to get us more impressions, again, an impression is just a commodity, right? And so like if you're just strip mining a commodity, you're flooding the market and devaluing everything. And so the only way, if you're living in a commodity world where it's overrun with infinite impressions, right, where you can get millions of YouTube views and you can get millions of Instagram views, they don't have value unless it's a place that an advertiser actually wants to be. And so like, if it's just this cortisol bum rush of like hate, fear media, that's not valuable to any brand to be on.
Interesting.
Like,
okay,
I'm not going to
explanation makes complete sense.
And so like, if you want your commodity to actually have value, it has to have value. And so I think when you talk about what Matt's describing here, it's like, all right, if I'm looking for comedy, I want comedy. If I'm looking for news, I want news. But if I want to know that I'm hearing the truth, and that holds value. And I think that's still why advertisers are keeping news organizations running right now.
Do you think it's because you see some organizations being kept running more than others because some of them are better than others? Now, I'm not trying to single out any one organization or lean any one way here. I'm just saying that you take a look at.
Yes and no. I think there's also I think a lot of those organizations have just infrastructure. So you're seeing a lot of consolidation right now too. And so, I think Tegna was just purchased by Nexstar. There's still an infrastructure thing that needs to go. And so,
all right.
If you look at like the number one generator of impressions is Fox News. They do a wonderful job of just getting as many impressions out on as many screens as possible, right? So yeah, they're going to have a little bit more cash for that kind of stuff. That's why you've got these consolidations of people to try to keep up with that number of impressions there. Okay. So it's sorry, Matt, you were about to say something.
I just want to sort of piggyback on that, just for listeners out there. One of my pet peeves is when people go, "Oh, the media ... Like if you start a sentence that way, I'm sorry, but you're going to go down a path that's incorrect, shows a lack of media literacy. So what I would encourage people to do, when you complain about news coverage, complain specifically. Complain about the source that you're hearing it from. The media ... is equating cable news, which is rage baity, with my 22-year-old recent graduate who's just trying to pay their bills and do their best. And there's a big difference between those two people.
Good point. It's a good point.
And it's also not new. That's his age. That's as old as me. So like, when you look at like the newspaper, It was like, okay, they'd have a newspaper in Philadelphia, and I didn't like what that editor has to say about the politician I like, so I'm going to start the Philadelphia Gazette or the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, and so you look at every market as basically just like one rag that pops up in another and another and another and another and another. So this idea of that this is like a new thing, this is as old as it gets, right? Since we've been able to print the word, there's always been this kind of debate, and it's gone from Barnum and Bailey to Edward R. Murrow, right? And so that's up to us as consumers to kind of digest that and decide when.
That's why I was asking open-ended questions. I wasn't trying to suggest anything.
Nor did I take it that way.
I wanted to hear from you guys because you really understood.
I get going a little bit.
No, I get it.
I could be a little bit much.
Well, no, you're passionate about your industry, and that's great. Good for. I'm happy for you guys. I mean, I don't get that passionate about the law sometimes.
Oh, that's not true. I've seen
sometimes
that.
I do, sometimes I don't. Depends on what kind of day I had in court. That's for sure.
Matt, anything we didn't ask you about kind of the Murrow School, current state of media, anything that you feel like, God, I love talking about this? Any subject we missed?
I love talking about what we do every day, in part because there are people in this school who don't know what we do. And sometimes we have to explain it to our colleagues. The classes I teach, by the way, and sort of keep referencing Tony's, must have been enwrapped in Tony. But I teach in much the same way, where I sort of let them take charge. But also what we've created here, and this has been a 40-year tradition at Murrow, our students do a daily newscast. It's not assignments. I mean, we do storytelling, and storytelling is a big part of it, and how to an understanding of the human condition is something we hope people come away with, understand the emotion behind any story we tell, including sports highlights. But they create a daily newscast, Murrow News 8. We stream live on YouTube. And so what I like to tell people when they ask what we do, this is real news information. This is real reporting. This is a daily group project that has a hard deadline that gets broadcast to the world. And so our students, I'd like to think, are very well prepared for the industry they're going into, which means they get to deal with some public conversation about what they do, how they perform, how they look, what they wear, what they weigh. And so I just want to, I have to sit back at the end of every semester and just thank my students for enduring what is a lot of pressure, I think, on them. We like to think they come out of that pressure cooker to that first job feeling like it's not their first job. So Bill, to your point, like why, I can get real passionate about it. You bet. Because some of these people are going to be treated really poorly by people who don't know better. And so I want to protect them like my children. They're doing really important work. We have a special on the University of Idaho murders. Our students were some of the first people there covering that story. We've got a YouTube special that's got close to 50,000 views on it. And so what do we do here? We create an environment that mirrors the real world. And to a news director across any place that hires any of our students, they go, I couldn't believe how ready they were for this job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so that's not just
one of the best in the country, man, right there.
Yeah.
So it's one of the best in the country.
Well, and just Cougs are fun people, and media people are fun people. The Venn diagram's a dinner plate, man. It's
the Venn diagram's a dinner plate. I like that one.
Matt Loveless, final question.
Okay.
Final question.
Let's hear this one.
30 years from now, whose voice am I going to hear on the stadium PA?
Oh, yeah.
On Cougar Football Saturday.
Do I get a choice in that?
Yeah.
I would love to be that voice 30 years.
We would. Yeah.
I don't know where the levers of that power are, but just and we love Glenn Johnson.
I think it's a lot like the Pope. I think that, eventually a Pope passes on.
Yeah.
And then all the Cardinals get together and
who are those Cardinals though?
It'll be the media people, it'll be the athletic department. And then they'll you got to wait until the white smoke comes out of the chimney at Bowler Gym. And then we know that we have a new PA announcer.
You and I are going to have to slip on some of those crimson robes.
We'll be like Loveless 316 signs outside the athletic department the whole time.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me get out ahead of it.
Buttery voice telling me about touchdowns. There we go.
It would be so exciting. But I'll sort of just give you a story. I mentioned my parents met here. And they would take us to games as a kid. And I remember being 7 or 8 years old and hearing that voice going, "Oh, that'd be so fun." And then I came to school and I learned from the guy who does that. Glenn Johnson was my professor. Glenn Johnson taught the classes I'm teaching now. So I got to know Glenn. He's a mentor throughout my life. And when I came back to town, one of the first emails I sent was to Glenn and to WSU Marketing and said, hey, I'm a guy here who might be a voice for some things you want to do. It took a few years, but now, those of you who know me know I do women's basketball full-time. I do soccer full-time. I've done a dozen men's basketball games since I've been back. I did a football game. I am positioning myself, I hope, to do that. That's not thing that pays much money, and I do not care. That's just something that I would love to do. Now, I am aware Glenn Johnson has given away his mayorship, his many other duties, as he did everything here for decades. He is not going to willingly give up that chair. And I
get it. It's like the Pope.
I don't expect him to.
I don't want him
to.
Okay.
I wouldn't if I were him either.
You pick up the paper one day and you're like, oh, Pope passed away. And then you go through the whole process of picking a new Pope. And that's what we're going to do. But
so
that's why I said 30 years from now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Glenn could live to be 120, man. He could be.
He very well may.
I think people who live in Pullman live long because it's a good life over there. You don't have all that stress. You don't have all that BS. You basically have one big, gigantic family that you're part of because you're at Washington State. That's why I think you see a lot of people in Pullman live to be really old. That's a good thing.
All right. Well,
it's hard. It's hard to leave here. I've been offered media jobs since I came back, and I've said no to them. Some of them I could not have dreamed of saying no to 10 years ago.
Isn't that wild?
And yeah, it's amazing, but it's also, I have a family. I'm leaving this podcast to go pick my kid up from baseball practice.
Yeah, and we just asked Tony this.
Minutes to get there.
Well, yeah, we just asked Tony this. So tell everyone else so we can all get jealous and live vicariously through you. How awesome is it to raise a family in Pullman, Washington?
It's amazing. It's funny looking on social media as people like long for the 80s childhood where you could knock on your neighbor's door and leave until it's dark. And I'm going, it's happening here.
That's awesome.
This is where that's happening, because now we live on a street, and by the way, students and alumni, there are 3 other hills in Pullman. That was one of the first things that coming back. It's not just College Hill and the Coug.
Yeah, there are other ones.
They're still there, and I still like them. Yeah. But the other 3 hills have these neighborhoods of just kids and families, and we've made great friends with all of the houses around us, and our kids will run out the door and we won't know why. And apparently they're knocking on a door 3 houses down, and we'll text the parents and say, hey, did my kid just run over there? But aside from that, I mean, that's amazing. The schools are great. We're in a community where most people are either in college or college educated. They all care about education for the kids. The other biggest employer are engineers and doctors. And so it's a community that cares a lot about its kids. And I suppose I would say at a certain point, that's what you care most about. And that's what's best about Pullman. Plus, Cougar football Saturdays that you can walk to, all of them, that's pretty nice too.
Cassie's packing the car right now. She might already be there. Matt, thank you so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for what you do with the collective too, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate seeing you. Love working with you guys.
Take care, man. Go Cougs.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh.
See, a pro wouldn't have done that.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a fascinating conversation tonight.
So Matt and both anybody who's working in media that actually can open it up and go like, no, here's what's different and here's what's still good about it is I can have those conversations for
because as the outsider looking in, it was just,
and you're not an outsider. You are you've got some I've
gotten lucky with media. I've gotten lucky with media, right? I think I kind of backed into it and got a little lucky.
You brought your Cougs.
I'm okay at telling stories because I tried a lot of cases, and that's all it is you're doing that stuff. But it's a fascinating industry, and it seems like the evolution is accelerating year by year. It's evolving even quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah. Look, everybody who sits around and goes, oh, AI is going to replace your job or whatever. Like, no, AI is going to replace clip art and somebody who's really bad at their job.
Yeah.
Right? But there are more screens every day, more speakers every day, more avenues for people to get information. And we need as many creative people who can capture attention and then honor it once they get it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know,
that's awesome,
it's
man.
a fun industry if you just got the, I don't know, blood pressure for it.
You know what we forgot to talk about at the beginning of the show is probably the biggest piece of news to come out of Pullman all week. And that is, and a big, huge congratulations to John Harlow.
Let's give him a round of
applause. No, seriously. And I've gotten to know John. I knew John when he was in the assistant capacity, and I've gotten to spend some more time with him now. He was serving as the interim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pass no judgment on the hiring process or anything like that. But what I had said to John at the night with Cougar Athletics, when we talked privately, I was like, hey, I asked him, like, what's going on? We're going to get a decision on AD here. And he's like, I don't know, and I was like, well, I will tell you this. If the president's letting you audition for the job, I don't think you could have auditioned any better than what you've done. I
agree with that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, I got a kid over in Pullman, and he's gotten to know John, and the students are really excited about him as the athletic director. And apparently he's down in the weight room with the football team every morning, hitting it.
I heard he's also a hockey player too.
He's a hockey player. Yeah.
He's doing beer league hockey.
But,
over there?
I mean, and again, I know there were some people, there's a particular Facebook page out there where literally we could win the national championship and they still wouldn't be happy about it.
The Die Easy Cougs.
Huh?
It's a Die Easy Cougs, right?
Yeah.
30,000 of them. None of them are 1890 Club members. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But we digress. But if that's one of you, what's up with that? I mean, seriously, what is up with that? But no, I think that is really big news. And then on top of it, in conversing with General Kirby Moore, he decided that, he thought it was a pretty awesome thing too. So the message from the good general this week is about our new field general, John Harlow.
Let's hear from him.
Let's do it.
Nope, that's not it.
John Harlow, our Cougar of the Week.
Dearest Cougar Nation, word has reached our encampment on the rolling hills of the Palouse, carried swift as a prairie wind, that John Harlow has been entrusted not merely with the interim standard, but now the full banner of athletic director for our proud Washington state. And I say to you plainly, this is no small appointment. This is a declaration. In the uncertain winter of conference realignment and shifting alliances, when lesser programs faltered and lost their way, Harlow stood firm. He did not waver. He did not retreat. He steadied the ship when the seas were most violent with desertion, and for that, he has earned not only the title, but the trust of Cougar Nation. We are not a people who ask for comfort. We ask for leadership, for vision, for a steady hand that understands what it means to build, not just survive on the Palouse. Harlow has shown he understands the weight of that charge. He has walked among us, listened, and led with resolve. I was proud to answer his call and return to this great university under his leadership. Now comes the greater campaign. Facilities must rise. NIL war chests must grow. The new Pac-12 frontier must not simply be entered, but conquered. This is a time for bold action, and Harlow now carries the authority to act. Cougar Nation, we must match that energy. Fill the stands, fund the mission, rally behind a leader who chose not to inherit comfort, but to embrace challenge. The path ahead will not be easy, but then again, it never has been for those who wear crimson. And yet we endure, and we rise. With Harlow at the helm, I dare say, we advance. Sincerely, General Kirby Moore.
I like that.
That was a good one.
I like that.
The general did us solid. He always does.
Yeah. No, and look, anytime any decision is going to be made, you're going to have somebody on the internet have an opinion.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's what I liked, though. It's and just to kind of tie it back to what Loveless was talking about of, he's got to get these kids ready for when you've got viewers who just say whatever comes to their mind, right? And student athletes are learning that.
Oh,
right? Yeah. Isaiah, when he was leaving, he talked about how he was reading those comments. And,
those kids make those posts, and what people don't understand is there's so much that goes into those decisions, and it's family and parents and everything that's going into it. And it's not just about a lack of loyalty to your institution.
Yeah.
That may or may not be a small component of it, but it's of a much larger equation. And then these kids will, take the chance and thank the Cougar Nation or wherever school they're departing, and then the haters come out like.
I'd like to remind people that, hey, when you are just posting whatever drunken thought you have about who should have caught that pass or what that decision was all about, I'd like you to know, like, a 20-year-old kid and his family are going to read that, and it doesn't really give your whole what happened to loyalty argument much of a case. In fact, it costs the 1890 Club a heck of a lot more money to retain those kids. Because you lose a little bit of that relationship equity.
You lose a little of that mojo that you have with them. And listen, if you got to get out on social media and start ripping on athletes, just do it with the professionals.
Yeah.
Right? They're getting paid big bucks. They signed up. If you're an NFL player, if you're making $20 million as a quarterback and you're throwing 4 picks a game, you're going to get every bit. You deserve it, right?
And I don't think any of those guys will mind it. And I think, look, and from the student athletes, they need to learn how to handle it, because that is going to be part of their reality. But what I will say is, whether it's a newscaster, an athlete, or whatever, a politician, that is a human being on the other side of a screen. And I know newscasters who have shown up and knocked on viewers' doors who left that, why is she so fat? Facebook mention,
Well, and I think one of the things that we see at WSU is it's player retention. Mm-hmm. Player retention's a big deal. And the more positive the experience is for the student athlete, the better likelihood that we're going to retain them.
Exactly.
And the longer we retain them, the more their experience will be as a Coug.
Yes.
And the more invested they're going to be in being a Coug going forward. They're the same kinds of kids that come back 10 years later and they got their spouse and their 2 little kids running around with them. And now they're into the alumni loop. And that's the environment that we're trying to build at Washington State. It's a family.
Yeah.
And you got to treat people like we're family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good place. It's a good place to bounce off there.
I think so.
Bill.
Hey, by the way, if you're not a member of the 1890 Club, real quick, though.
What's up with that?
What is up with that? Coug's first business show. What is that? May 29th?
Yep.
May 29th down in Seattle. If you're not going to that camera, you're fucking sorry, you're screwing with me. If you're not going to that show, what's up with that?
Yeah,
exactly. Good show, man. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.